we don't control outcomes, then how do we set and accomplish goals in our life? If we come to Jesus and he's going to give us rest, and he's going to, if you watch the last video, he's going to occupy and he uses us. We vacate, he occupies, he accomplishes and uses us to do it. That's great, but what's the logistics of that look like? Well, I want you to imagine, if you will, a pyramid, and at the top of the pyramid is an outcome. We don't control the outcomes, but we can choose goals. So Stacey, my wife, and I sat down and went through the things that we would like to see happen this year. We began praying about some of those things. We'd like to adjust our budget in some specific ways. We'd like to take a couple of trips. We'd like to spend a little bit more time with some family members. So we have some specific goals for our finances, for our health. I'm trying to improve race time for some of my own physical fitness. So we have some goals, and we have come up with some ways to pursue those goals. But I can't control outcomes. I'm not trying to become more sovereign over my circumstances. That's me trying to be God. Or if I'm trying to convince God to do what I want in those circumstances, then I'm trying to be God to God, like he's taking direction from me. God is not looking for direction from me. If he takes direction from me, that makes me God, and that should make you very scared. Unfortunately, he's not doing that. So what are we doing? What's this process? Well, at the top of that pyramid is the outcomes from our goals. But right below that, we can choose the goals, but we can't control the outcomes. Right below that are some principles that drive those goals. In other words, I think that if I do things a certain way, I can improve my running performance. Or if I eat fewer calories than I burn in a given day, I can lose a little weight. Or if I manage my finances in a specific way, then we can save a little bit more money. So there's some principles around which we can base those goals. We're not just hoping that we can bring about what we want because we're thinking about it every day, nor are we expecting that God will bring them about without us participating with him in them. Instead, we get up every day having taken the wisdom and opportunity and thinking brains and circumstances that he's given us, and we pursue those things, but we pursue them based on principles he's revealed in faith in him. God, you bring about what you want in this circumstance. We'll follow the principles that you have made clear to us, but our goal is not to to use the principles to accomplish our goals. Our process is to take one step with God in the direction that he has given us in every one of those areas that he has placed on our heart. We're trusting that they're his goals, and if not, he can change them. We're trusting that we can operate by those principles, but there's no principle that parted the Red Sea, and the Israelites walking into that dead end weren't following a good map. So we're following God as he directs. He's capable of letting you know if you should take that job, if you should head home early, if you should spend an extra weekend working on a project. He's capable of giving you wisdom about your body needs to recover from exercise, or you know that you're depending upon food to give you comfort instead of just fueling you in a way that you can enjoy. He can give you wisdom about the principles that you're using in your life. And if I'm using food, or I'm using exercise, or I'm using my relationships, or I'm using my job, trying to make them a source for my security, my significance, my sufficiency, God can use all of those things. He can use my wife, and does powerfully in my life, but she never gets to be my source. That's called an idol. So the moment that I place my hope for significance on what someone else thinks of me, or how well I do doing these messages for you, then I've suddenly made it an idol because I'm needing something from it instead of trusting God for what he does with what he's given me and the wisdom that he's given me and the circumstances that he's leading me in. If I want to know him more and I'm trusting him to bring about what he wants in the circumstances, then he can bring about my needs being met in ways I could never have expected. And even as I'm working here, he can meet my needs from somewhere else. And if I turn and start start to work on those areas of my life, he can meet my needs from yet another area. We're not living to get our needs met from the circumstances that we're operating in. We're following God's direction and the heart that he's given us and the desires that he's given us and the principles that he's revealed to us, but we're not trying to get our needs met from any of them. We're not living for principles. We're not living from principles. We're living from a person. His name is Jesus Christ, and we can know him more as we walk with him by faith in circumstances in which only he can bring about the results. So my goals are based on principles, and those principles are based on values, and my value and what I would encourage for you, and as much as the Spirit reminds you, is that we would make our value to know him more, not to gain what we need by our flesh, our efforts, our expertise, how good we are, someone else's perspective, how we've overcome a circumstance. I don't have to brandish anything I've done or be a victim of anything anyone's done to me, because my identity is in Christ. I'm secure, I have sufficiency, I have significance because of what Christ has done for me and what he wants to do through me, and everything else becomes the context of knowing Christ as the content of my life. So my prayer for you is that you will be authentic, be real, that you would embrace in every circumstance his grace for what he wants in those circumstances, and that ultimately you would enjoy his life as you let by faith him live the life that only he can live by grace, and through you, real grace life.